Welcome in, everybody. It's me. It's me, your host, Johnny Skywalker. With me, I have DJ D Skywalker.
Howdy.
And Farmer Skywalker.
Hello.
Chilling in the back of the booth, we have the man of few words, Craig. And also in the audience today, we've got Pyro Beats hanging out, listening.
Pyro.
If Pyro starts
join
messaging,
us.
we may take time to read these messages out loud. This just in from our live studio audience. Sup.
Sup.
Love it. Love it.
We need to have like have a sign that says clap or something, you know?
Everybody. Like basically a sitcom, you know?
Yeah, exactly. But Farm, where were you last week?
So, it hit 10 o'clock and I'm like, oh, I've got to be on the podcast and Johnny's not going to be here tonight. And I was like, okay, I've got 30 minutes. I'm going to go talk to Isabel. And it was after a whole day of festival. Well, actually a whole week, honestly. I was out there quite a bit. I literally fell asleep and woke up and I'm like half asleep, half awake when I woke up. I come in here, I'm like, just text David like, I can't do it. Let's do it tomorrow, you know, basically because I'm dead. I'm dead to the world. I can't do the podcast tonight. And
what?
Yeah, that's me. That was me last week.
What was the festival called? Poke something.
Poke Salad.
And it was a good time.
Yeah, good times, music.
Lots of Pokemon were caught.
There were some Pokemon stuff there. Yeah, go figure. They had the carnival come in. We had live bands come in. I actually got to play with my brother some music. So that was a lot of fun. It was a good time.
I had given David and Farmer quite a bit of notice. I was invited to a local church here. There are some American exchange students who will be here for about a month at the university. And I was invited because they were like, oh, we think that they would like to meet you because, you know, they don't speak English or not English. Sorry. They don't speak Japanese. And when you're in an environment where like most people don't speak English, it is nice to meet people that you can like actually communicate with in your native language. And so I was told that meeting was going to be from 12:30 on. I thought it would be kind of in bad taste which is after their church service. And they were going to have like snacks and stuff and then, you know, have like this talking time. I thought it would be in pretty bad taste for me to show up after the service and just eat a bunch of food and talk with people. So I decided to go for the service. And it's a good thing I did go because by 12:40, everyone was gone. Like they definitely started way before 12:30. And by 12:40, so at 12:40, I was walking out and I actually texted David and I was like, hey, man, like if you're willing to wait 20 minutes, I can head over to the studio and I can join and we can record a podcast. And I texted him before opening Discord. Mm-hmm. And I opened Discord and I just saw him and Craig in here. And so I was actually in the audience for last week's episode. And Koichi and I, one of my good friends here, we were walking back to our houses and we were laughing out loud watching the episode. It was like watching it live. It was so funny.
That's awesome. Great.
Yeah. Really enjoyed it.
I listened to it when it came out and there was some good like silent, you know, like cues and things like, you know, like that David did. You know, it made it feel real, you know, it made it feel like he was really waiting and actually talking to Craig. I mean, he was Craig.
He was, yeah.
He was talking to Craig and Craig just is unresponsive. Like what's the deal, Craig? You know, come on.
Yeah, Craig. There was one quote from it that I think we should make it into a shirt or something of sometimes it's about more than just showing up. Right? Like,
I heard that,
what a-
and I was like, man, that's
did
good.
you have
That's good
that
stuff.
pre-written? That's what I want to know. Did you have that pre-written, or was that off the cuff?
That was off the cuff, yeah.
Because that was
Oh, I mean,
incredible.
yeah.
I've been thinking about it all week. I've been thinking, like, thanks for showing up, but sometimes it's about more than just showing up. Like, oh man, that sounds like what would be like written on Dwayne Johnson's like tank top while he's working out.
Yeah,
Like,
it's like,
it's
you
about
just
more
can't
than
show
just
up.
showing up.
You got to do more than just show up. I like. So Pyro says he's a good listener. So we make sure we think about that side of the coin.
That is what they say. Communicating is a two-way street of speaking and listening. But when Craig's concerned, it's really a one-way street. Apparently.
Well, whenever he shows up.
Yeah. That reminds me of living in Chicago. Our friend Jason there going the wrong way down a one-way street and unapologetically just doing so. And it was like
continually.
What are you doing? Like,
you got to commit to it. This isn't legal advice, but if you're gonna break the law, commit. Commit to breaking it,
and maybe break it for a good reason. Like maybe. I've been thinking a lot about proportionality lately.
I mean,
just because of all the crazy stuff going on in the world.
Yeah, as long as you're fine with taking responsibility of the things you break,
Exactly. Yeah. I do have a lighter topic to switch to, if you guys wouldn't mind.
Absolutely.
I have a question. What is the primary way that you consume YouTube content?
Ooh, good question.
Probably on my phone, and probably mostly, honestly, nowadays, I just listen to it. I mean, premium, So I just like,
Well, I guess my clarifying question: what platform, or like desktop, mobile, maybe like a TV app or something? How do you guys consume? I see Pyro here says on her bed, TV and phone. Yeah,
kind of that's interesting because on a given day, I'll be like looking at things on my phone, but like during when I'm working, I'll have like let's say a podcast, I'll have on one screen if it's a live one, I'll have on one screen and my work on the other. Or if it's just audio, I'll just have it minimized, but I'll be listening on my computer. But I'll also have those moments where all of a sudden I popped up my phone and I have YouTube on my computer, but I also have it on my phone watching shorts. So it's like
you're double dipping on YouTube.
Kind of. It's like how much multitasking do we do so much more these days than we used to?
Right.
It's like
yes.
How many different things are we having on our Windows and our phone?
Would you say you mostly watch on your phone, D?
Yes. Yeah. Almost entirely mobile when it comes down to it.
I say this because I almost never watch on desktop, right? I kind of exclusively watch YouTube on either my iPhone or on an iPad. I know like tablets aren't a huge portion of like market share, but I actually use tablets a lot. And also probably maybe almost as much as my phone, I have an Apple TV, like a smart TV, and I watch YouTube on that, right? So like the smart TV app of how to browse YouTube and such, I use it a lot. I bring it up because right before the podcast started, I thought this would be a great thing to talk about because I pulled up YouTube on Safari, and this is terrible. Just want to throw that out there. This whatever this is, I am not a fan of like the desktop YouTube experience.
I don't think it's that bad when it comes down to it. I think it's pretty on par. I don't know. Like, I think the mobile experience is better, but also I primarily use that one, so I couldn't really tell you whether my bias is affecting my perception there.
Yeah, it really depends on what content you're watching. Like if you're watching like vertical shorts, way better on the phone. If you're actually watching, like cinema almost, like, format,
Landscape.
1080p or what landscape. Yeah. If you're watching that, it does way better for that. But yeah, if you're trying to do the whole phone thing on YouTube, sometimes it works, but other times it gets messed up, and I don't know what it is. But it bogs itself up, and you have to refresh, and it's like not as good as watching shorts on your phone.
Okay, so
That's
this is where
I didn't know that.
I'm gonna. So I guess a follow-up question here. What do you guys prefer, like the vertical? What is it, 9:16 video content, or do you prefer landscape 16:9 content nowadays? Because I feel like most younger people would say they like the vertical. Oh, Pyro says landscape forever. David said no. What about you, Farm?
It depends on what it is, honestly, when it comes down to it. Like I
want to see Lord of the Rings just vertical.
Yeah, like when it comes to movies, I want to flip it. I want to go landscape all the way. But like when it's the content we kind of create more of these days with our phones, like well, just think about how many phones you take vertical nowadays, opposed to early 2000s, even into the 2010s, where you were still doing landscape for a lot.
I was still doing landscape, I would say, up until like even 2 years ago.
Right.
For everything.
Right. And now you look at your like if you go to your archives and you look at all the photos you've taken, now all of a sudden they're up and down. So it's just changed our whole landscape.
Hey.
It's changed.
That's the name of the
everything.
Thing.
Yeah. It's changed. We've transitioned from it, and I'm okay with it now. But at one point, I remember being like, man, I need to make sure I get enough photos landscape, because I'm getting so many vertical these days. And now I'm just like, who cares? Who cares?
When I take photos, I tend to do vertical now, unless I have a specific reason to do landscape. So like I do newsletters every quarter. All of the photos I use in the newsletters, it's not that they have to be landscape, but like if they mix, they don't match up. So it's like I try and keep in mind, like if I'm going to take a landscape one, I need to take at least one or two landscapes so that I can, like, they look right when they're together in a newsletter. So here's the problem though for me. I actually I like landscape video on the phone, not vertical. Because if you watch like a regular YouTube video, not a short, a regular YouTube video on a phone, like the top portion of the screen is the landscape video. And then they have like the description and the comments, right? And then if you flip the phone horizontally, it will take up the whole screen, right? But I actually really love that I can browse the comments and read the description while the video is playing. Because like if you're watching something on like Instagram or on YouTube, like if you maybe you can open up the description, but if you like open up the comments and stuff, the video often pauses or it's just totally blocked. So you like either you have to watch the video, you can't read comments and stuff like that, right? And I actually really like that. So I feel really torn. Because I kind of prefer vertical nowadays, I think. But I like that landscape feel. And it's funny, Pyro, I always do selfies landscape because you can get more people in. Like, when I'm doing a selfie, most of the time I'm trying to take a picture with a bunch of people. And if you do landscape, you can get more people in, right? But I don't know, guys. I don't know. Did we just solve the vertical versus landscape war?
I think that's where I kind of like go, like when I'm on my PC, I keep up this almost like I do on Twitch. It's landscape. I can see the comments below and I can see it all up. Kind of like where on my phone, I'm watching shorts and able to see all that stuff vertically. So it's like vertical phone, landscape.
Pyro here is saying that you can't browse comments without the video disappearing. Is that true? Oh, in the sense that like when you scroll down, you can't see the video anymore. I see what you mean. Man, you know, like you can even read YouTube comments on the YouTube app on Apple TV now. Fantastic. You can't add comments, which is good because it's a nightmare to try and add comments with that remote. If you want to add a comment, they literally are like, get your phone out.
YouTube on TV.
You've never. Do you have a smart TV?
That's not something we do. I don't. Ooh. I do not.
Well, I guess when
I'm still rocking my good old LG from 2010. Let's go.
Well, my TV. So the Apple TV is actually just like a puck that you plug into the TV. So I also have a pretty old TV. But our TV here in Japan is like doesn't get any service, right? Like we don't have any free channels or anything on it. It's really just a big monitor. And so we only watch through the internet. So do you not do that with your TV? Do you have actual TV?
We watch things from apps. That's it. We use the Xbox and we watch like Disney Plus and Hulu, and that's it basically.
You're the one guy that the Xbox One was really marketed toward.
Probably. Man, me too. Though I mean, like I was using the Xbox One in my stream setup right up until like a few months ago. So I mean,
I know he had it all integrated. Like it was an intense setup. Like somebody should have written a book about it. Honestly, it was good. It was good.
I actually really liked that. It had an HDMI in. I really liked that.
Yes. Yeah. Honestly, that was pretty great.
That was cool.
Yeah.
Being able to interface another device into another device is always a great option, in my opinion.
Well, and then, so like my TV has 3 HDMI ports, but one of them is broken. So I have an HDMI switcher now. I had to buy a switcher when I moved.
How'd you do it? That's the question. How'd you
it actually was broke. I bought the TV used. So I bought the TV when I first came to Japan. And when we first moved here, we spent all of our money on the move and like getting into a place, and we didn't have much money for a TV. So I bought it used from a place, and HDMI port number 1 never worked. This is a big bummer. So only 2 and 3 work.
Interesting.
I know. My twins like to touch the TV. We've had the same TV for like 10 years, and we bought it a few years old, so it's pretty old, right? I keep hoping that they'll break it so I can buy a new TV.
Well, it's just crazy that they sold it to you knowing that it was broken.
It's still small.
I don't think they knew it was broken.
Oh, okay. So, okay, gotcha.
I don't think they knew. And probably if I would have taken it back and done all of that, but at the time I had an Xbox One, right? So it's like, man, it doesn't matter. I can just plug my Switch into my Xbox. Boom, we're good to go. And back when they used to do the split feature, you guys remember that? Where you could have two things at the same time. Dude, I could play Xbox and have like something going on the Switch at the same time.
In a
freaking
tiny little window, like that big.
Tiny little window.
Like not even picture in picture, like not even an overlay. Like literally a bar would slide out from the side and be like, this big, and then like the very top corner of that window would have like a little video play.
But actually, hear me out. So they got rid of that split feature, right? But the reason it was a tiny bar in it is because it's a landscape. If they brought that split feature back for like YouTube Shorts or Instagram Reels or TikTok, it would be perfect because it would be vertical.
Shorts. Yeah.
Hey,
that would be interesting.
Does anyone listening work for YouTube?
Think about this. You're playing a game. All of a sudden, this window pops out. You got Shorts, and you got all these people trying to play games, or they're on your team, and now they're distracted. They're watching 2 things at once. They're trying to play games and watching Shorts. Can you imagine the chaos?
Sounds like playing with David, man.
Not untrue.
Whatever. I'm leaving. Later. Have a good one, guys.
Like, David, are you still there? Oh yeah, I'm watching TV and reading this book and playing with you guys.
I can't help the way my brain works.
My favorite was how brutal Overwatch was. Right? It was something like 40 seconds of inactivity and you would get something even ridiculous.
Yeah,
you can't even go to the bathroom.
Yeah, I think it was like literally 1 minute. I think, yeah, like a 1 minute
Just
time.
1 minute.
Boom,
He's like,
they're
oh,
gone.
there he goes again.
Yeah.
There he goes
exactly.
Yeah.
But even it would boot you before the match even started. Like when you're in the lobby waiting for everyone to join. And so we're in the lobby waiting, which arguably is a fine time to watch YouTube. Right?
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, there goes David. And like we all know what he was doing, and David's just like, I have never played Overwatch 2. I've never even loaded it up.
I think I loaded it up, but I don't think I actually have played a game. Yeah, I think that's accurate.
I have. I played it. I was actually talking to somebody about it, I think this week, actually, funny enough.
Oh, how is it?
I mean, I think if you really enjoyed the first one, it's kind of, at least for me, this is how it is for me. Like it had its time. It was like, it was hot. It was kind of like, MOBAs were like a thing, and I feel like for me, I moved on from that. For those who still really enjoy that, or are those people who are new to the scene, I think it's great. But it is very much so the first game, just moved on to 2. But it just felt like to me when I played 2 that it was just the same thing.
Yeah.
But,
I find it interesting.
People might not like my comments on that.
Okay, let me summarize for anyone who doesn't like Farmer's comments. Overwatch 2 sucks. That's what Farmer said.
Well, it could be better. But, I haven't played it in 6 months, so maybe it is better now.
And maybe we should give it a shot one of these days.
It's still Overwatch 1. Well, but it's interesting to me when games take the model to... It's like Destiny 2, which kind of made sense because they're limited by past gen. Probably the same as Overwatch. But it's interesting because, I doubt there will ever be a Fortnite 2. Right? Because it's a games as a service, so they just keep adding to it. And, how do you get people to move? I recently read a crazy stat that I think was 40% of PlayStation users are on PS4, not on current gen, not on PS5.
Wild. That's crazy.
Even though we're about to move into the next gen very soon, that's crazy.
Well, you run into these things of, do they really have a reason to move to PS? I know, 40%. That is a huge amount of people that are playing on past gen.
Yeah, that's a huge piece of the pie there.
For those of us Microsoft gamers, right? I've been on this Xbox Series S for 4 years now. Right?
Yeah.
I can't imagine.
I got my Series X at launch. Yeah.
I can't imagine trying to game on an Xbox One, which we know quite a few people who do, right? There's quite a few people in the Nav who have an Xbox One instead of a Series, but they're primarily not Xbox gamers, though. Right? They play a lot on PC or whatever. But it's a huge... as a developer, how do you... I think there's not a ton of incentive to develop solely for next-gen console or current-gen. You can't even call them next-gen. Current-gen consoles.
Well, and I think that's a problem because then you don't see games take advantage fully of the new consoles and the new specs. And so you very rarely get a game that feels next-gen because of it. That line has become so blurred that it's meaningless now. And
what is the game that was? They said it was quadruple A. What is that game? Do you guys remember that?
Oh, said
it was.
Yeah.
That's
I remember.
Oh, that's that Ubisoft pirate game, Skulls and Bones. Yeah.
Oh, how's that game doing? I haven't heard anything about it. Is it popular? Do people like it?
I've heard it. It's still doing great.
Good. It went on a very, very steep sale, literally last week, to half price. So, take from that what you will.
I've heard, both sides. So, I think there's still lots of people who really enjoy it. I need to get back into it, honestly.
I just realized something. We've been recording for about 25 minutes. Farmer, I don't know if you notice, the episode title is Rise of Skywalker. I totally forgot to introduce myself as Johnny Skywalker. That was going to be my whole bit. It's me, Johnny Skywalker. It's DJ D Skywalker and Farmer Skywalker. Oh, man. That's awkward.
Rising up out of the ashes.
Right. Yeah, rising up. 26 minutes in. 26 minutes in. We're going to go ahead and
Well, we can just cut this and put this in the beginning now.
Yeah.
Now.
Yeah, there you go.
That's true. The miracle of editing.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that is so true, but I don't want to do it. I'm gonna forget.
Now we could just copy and paste it at the beginning, but then still have it happen organically too. So it just happens twice.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll keep it in. Hold on. Welcome in, everybody. It's me, your host, Johnny Skywalker. With me, I have DJ D Skywalker.
Howdy.
And Farmer Skywalker.
Hello.
All right, that should be enough padding on each side. Okay, I'll make sure to slip that in. I'll make sure to get that in. Hold on, I'm actually literally going to take a note here. What do we got? We're at 27 minutes. So
And may the force be with you always.
27-minute intro. That's good enough. Okay. Did you guys see Rings of Power Season 2 trailer that dropped?
Nope.
I've not seen it yet. No.
Oh man. Then maybe I guess can I say something about it?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Sure.
It looks awful. It looks so bad. Like,
I mean, that's what I expected, honestly.
It's a joke, dude. And it's a bummer because, like, on one hand, I feel like kind of excited because I love Lord of the Rings so much. And, like, the fact that they're making new Lord of the Rings stuff, it makes me happy, right? It makes me happy that Lord of the Rings...
It makes you happy in a way.
In a way of that, like, similar to when Avatar... When everyone was like, the coolest part about like the Avatar Netflix show, whether or not people liked it, I personally did like it. The coolest part is we could talk about Avatar not as a 20-year-old thing, right?
Right.
This thing that happened
current.
2 decades ago. It's a current thing. The fact that they're making Rings of Power now, one of the things that's nice about it is we can talk about Lord of the Rings like a current thing. Right.
Yeah, no, that is good because you're bringing it back up to the market. You know, whether you like the TV show or not, you're gonna go back and watch those movies, right? Lord of the Rings, great.
And
movies.
I really
Love them.
liked how they did the dwarves in Rings of Power. Durin
women was so cute.
and like the dwarven women and all that. I liked that that was my favorite part of season 1 was the dwarves.
I also loved the way that elves and dwarves interacted in that show too. I thought that was really cool.
I also really liked the elf Arondir.
Oh.
The controversial black elf Arondir. Him and like his human girlfriend, I also really liked them too.
Yeah.
But they were both so side story to the main story, right? Like I'm liking very much not the point of the show. Pyro, I'm not even going to read that comment on this podcast. You should be ashamed of yourself.
Yeah, that's what I was just laughing at.
Yeah. Oh man. Wow. The
That's so inappropriate.
That being said, season 2 looks like, so again, kind of torn. Because, like, on one hand, Lord of the Rings, cool.
Mm-hmm.
Probably gonna watch it. I don't know, but like,
I'll watch it in the background.
Looks bad. My favorite is they're like
David's gonna watch it while he's playing games with us.
Yeah.
They're like, Sauron is hiding among us the whole time. That was season 1. I thought that was the whole point of season 1. No, it's not. It's season 2, and also Sauron hiding. Yeah. Sauron's been hiding among us. That's like season 2.
That's like literally the plot of season 1 now.
Well, guess what?
Like
they're doing it again.
Dude, it was so good. They're gonna
Another
do it
one.
again. Do it again.
Spoilers for an okay show that happened
hold on.
like a year and a half ago or whatever. But I mean, like that was the end. That was literally the last episode of the last season.
It gets better because the guy who was revealed to be Sauron at the end of season 1, he looks a little bit different now because he's like pretending to be an elf. But by a little bit different, I mean you can 100% tell it's still him and still the same actor. And so it's like, are you serious? Like, we already know this. Like, you're telling me, like, they better not put like Galadriel and Sauron in the same room and her not be able to tell who he is, because he clearly is the same dude. Like, it's just ridiculous. Like for real. Like
it almost felt the first season, and it sounds like the second season is going to be like even more so. It almost felt like the first season was kind of like Last Jediing Lord of the Rings, where it was kind of sort of like poking holes at and kind of like making fun of a little bit, but like not like in a lighthearted way or anything. The whole concept of the story that it was trying to tell. And like from what you're saying, oh gosh, like season 2 seems like it'll be way more so that, where it's essentially just kind of mocking it.
Pyro has this great comment, but is he now wearing glasses and he has his hair combed back? Pyro, literally, kind of. He now has blonde hair and it's combed back. That's it.
And he probably has pointy ears, right? Pointy ears.
Like
now?
It doesn't. I didn't even know. It doesn't. It's just like, oh
does
my
he
god.
Does he have like the S underneath his cloak and everything as well? Dun, 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 dun.
And it's just, it's kind of a bummer. Like, I think this is a great example for creatives everywhere. I mean, you know, Amazon spent $1 billion and still made something really terrible. You know, like you don't need a lot of money. You don't need the budget. Budget's not everything. I texted it to a friend here who's like a hardcore Lord of the Rings fan, and he's not happy. He's not happy about it. And to be fair, I get it. It. It doesn't look great. But
on the flip side, it still puts Lord of the Rings back in the limelight. So that's
exactly
the bittersweet.
On the flip side, we can talk about Lord of the Rings and it's not like, I mean, so like I'm talking with college students. You want to hear something terrible? Terrible. I'm talking with college students that were not born when The Return of the King was in theaters.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that they were young. They were not born.
That's wild.
I don't like it. You know, negative infinity. I don't like it. You know, I would love it if Fortnite did a Rings of Power event.
Oh, speaking of Fortnite, did you guys see what's coming next season?
I didn't, but I heard that I didn't finish the season pass, but I heard that it's almost done. What's coming next?
Drum roll. David? Do you know?
Yes, I know. Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, you can do it. You brought it up, buddy.
No, you.
That's okay.
It's your
Fallout.
thing, man.
Fallout. I wouldn't say that Fallout is my thing necessarily. I put a lot of hours into Fallout 3 and I love it. And the show's fantastic.
I feel like you brought it to this podcast, you know, the attention to this podcast.
Yeah. So but that was more a Jonathan Nolan thing more than anything else.
Gotcha.
Right? Like the world of Fallout is cool to me, but like Nolan is just a fantastic showrunner.
I would very much disagree because you played the crap out of Fallout 3 and very much are into Fallout. He
is the Fallout guy in this podcast. Okay, let's just be real.
Yeah, he's the Fallout guy in a nav.
Yep.
Like I feel like almost everyone else in a nav is Skyrim. It's David and Chloe that are Fallout. You know. Oh yes, Pyro, exactly. You could say DJD is the Fallout boy.
No.
Yeah, we're gonna get sued.
Only when we monetize.
What are the skins that you're getting? What, like, are they gonna be like from the TV show?
So
that'd be my guess.
Yeah, I think it's from this TV show. I think the only thing that I know is they were talking about the Brotherhood. So that's kind of exciting.
I could see a Brotherhood. I could see like a Fallout, like, you know, suit or whatever, like a vault suit.
Oh, the vault.
That would be awesome. Yeah.
I could also see a. Oh gosh, what's the ghoul's name again?
Yeah, just
from the show.
But isn't his name Howard? They call him the Ghoul when he's a ghoul.
Any ghoul would just be great, honestly.
His name is Cooper Howard. I'm freaking right. Yeah, it is. Cooper Howard.
Yeah.
Man, okay, so actually I finished season 1.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Man, you guys, I finished season 1 of Fallout. And I won't give any spoilers because wow, that was just great. Mm-hmm. That was great. Incredible. They
ready with the popcorn
just enough
for
questions. enough answers to feel happy and enough questions to be looking forward to a season 2.
Well, and I think the way that they ask those questions too is like the perfect cutoff. Like, if you don't get answers to that, you know what? That's okay. You know, like, yeah, you want more, but also it's like a satisfying ending. You know, it's the same thing that Watchmen did, the show.
Yeah,
where it ends in a perfect spot where, yeah, it would be great to get answers to like, does this person walk on water or not? But, I mean, also, you don't need the answer to that.
I think what's so good about them as well is that they've fleshed in such a good like universe here that you can go back, and I still plan to do this, like go back now that you've watched them all. Now you can do, like almost microscope. Okay, let's see, what did I miss the first time through? How many Easter eggs or how many little things are in the background in play that I didn't notice that now I can see
that they intentionally placed there too.
Right. Right. No, they're very crafty with all that stuff. And
no,
it's great.
For sure. Because
I love it. Intentional.
There was one reveal in the show that they foreshadow. And at the time, you have no idea it's a foreshadowing. You're just like, okay, yeah, whatever. And when it happened, I was like, oh my God, man, it was so good. So good. So yeah, go watch Fallout on Amazon Prime.
Use our link and we get a little bit. I mean, I'm just kidding.
The only thing that upsets me is that they removed the Amazon group watch functionality from Twitch right before the show came out. Because that would have been so fantastic to watch it on Twitch. I mean,
Well, they're just like, oh, you're gonna watch it in Discord with your friends anyway, so we'll just remove that.
The Fallout show was so good that it makes me want to go back and play Fallout, even though I don't like Fallout, the game, very much.
Join us in 76, man.
Yeah. We started and we need to get back into it, but we.
Yes, yeah. The number one comment that I hear about 76 now is that it feels like Fallout, which is a good thing because it definitely didn't at launch.
It really didn't at launch. Yeah.
Yeah, I never even played it until just the other day, so I guess I missed. I guess I dodged a bullet there.
Well, what was it? At launch, there were no NPCs.
No NPCs whatsoever, yeah.
Oh, yeah. So, you would get telling me about that.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah. That's just crazy. Yeah.
There were a few robots around or whatever sometimes that you would talk to, but they'd just be just randomly in various places or whatnot. And then you'd get tapes. Cassette tapes that you would play and get
wasn't
missions
the
from.
Idea that you were supposed to do everything from people, it was supposed to be
that was the
MMO-y.
idea. Yeah, like that I think their vision was that people would take on the roles of being vendors or whatever, and then it would be kind of I never played it, but kind of the way that you described, Johnny.
Back when I played
Star Wars Galaxies. Yeah.
Yeah.
Prior to the combat update. Yeah.
There was a whole, basically player made stuff was by far the best. So you could really easily get just sell. But they also had a really good bazaar system, where you just went to a terminal and it was a galaxy wide. You could list stuff on it for sale and stuff like that.
Sure.
It was super useful. Yeah, back in the good old days, man. That was a lot of fun. I have not run into a game that did something like that since. That it was just flushed out enough. And I don't know, is it just the Star Wars brand power that brought in enough people to be able to do something like that? Or is it that people don't play games the same way? I have no idea.
I think it's really tough to build a game without making combat be a core functionality of that game, or to make everything else as fun as combat, because combat is going to be the most actiony, and especially for games that have a lot of RPG elements that you're going to get a lot of hardcore gamers in, or at least you would. Now the landscape might have shifted enough with games like Genshin or Stardew, where you might get a more diverse audience nowadays for something like that.
Yeah.
But I know back in the day, generally the people who would play MMOs were the serious gamers who kind of really wanted combat when it came down to it and really cared about that. And so, like, I think Galaxies came at the perfect time where it was a Star Wars universe that you could live and breathe, where we weren't also getting Star Wars content all the time.
That's
and
true.
like, I mean,
That's
like,
true.
yeah. And I think, like, granted, there were a number of like random games that would come out, but nothing else really let you live in a world like Galaxies did. And again, I never played it, but that would just be, yeah.
It's interesting because now I look at, for those who have been following along week to week, David and I have been playing Elite Dangerous quite a bit. Elite Dangerous recently released a ship, like kind of pre-released a new ship, the first new ship in 6 years. And it's an update on a current ship, and it's kind of a more combat-focused ship. But they've been going more combat-focused in the game for, I don't know, the last few years now. And it's just interesting because it wasn't necessarily that way back when we started.
Right. Yeah, I would say combat was, yeah.
It feels like everything is like really much about combat now. And I'm not the biggest fan.
Yeah. I don't love it, but I understand it. You know, it's one of those situations. I would say the last game that I feel like that tried to do like a Galaxies kind of thing, and it kills me because like they cut it off at the knees before like it could really kind of be transformed into something special, and they also didn't market it very much as that. Was Red Dead Redemption 2, the Red Dead Online stuff. Like,
oh yeah,
I feel like that could have been very much a universe that you just live in, but that they just never really found the audience who like would have acclimated to that well, and so like they weren't able to really get it off the ground.
I find myself in this really weird mix of I'm either playing Apex, which farm we need to play some Apex sometime. I've been
anytime, let's do it.
Are you still a Wraith main?
Oh yeah, Wraith all the way.
I was playing Gibby, but I stopped. So you know, gonna get maybe some hate comments. I am now 100% a Crypto main. Crypto's not one of my secondary. He's my main dude now.
Wow.
You know, when he throws out his drone now, he calls out how many squads are within range of his drone. He says it. You can hear it. And before, you needed to use the drone to look at the banners to see how many there were. Now, as long as the drone is out, he can just see it with his eyes.
That's awesome. I also like how the active thing where you just throw it and you're still in control of your character instead of instead of like when he first came out, it was actually a problem because you throw out your drone, and all of a sudden you're in the drone cam mode. You're in the drone mode, and all of a sudden you're getting shot up. And
maybe. It doesn't mark the same way, but I actually kind of like him more than Bloodhound now. Because if you do a scan with Bloodhound 1, it doesn't go as far. Like, the drone range, right, is huge. So, like...
Oh, yeah.
It tells you how many groups are within range of your drone. But also, if you do a scan with Bloodhound and there are people nearby, like, they know that you're scanning. But
and if you have a
you don't
decent
necessarily
squad,
know if you have a drone.
If you have a decent squad too, his ultimate ability is great for those quick pushes. Like if you can get in, get their shields off, and then get them down. Like you can take out squads literally with that strat so quick, but you have to hit it just right. You have the pacing has to be perfect.
Well, he's great with the instant, like checking the enemy's positions and the instant revives. Anyway,
instant revive is nice. Yeah,
I used to like to play Crypto, but I would concede that like Bloodhound was better than Crypto in basically every way. Like there was no reason to play Crypto if you could be Bloodhound. But now they're different enough that it's because Bloodhound does have the scan, but Bloodhound also has the tracking, right? And it's really cool. But sorry about the sidetrack. But I've been playing Apex. I've been playing Helldivers. And I'm playing these shooty games, right? But I also have been playing this indie game called Traveler's Rest, which is like a cozy Stardew type game, but instead of running a farm, you're running a tavern. So basically, I'm just working in the service industry, like cleaning tables and serving people food and getting their drinks and stuff.
Johnny, go get a real job.
And I love it. It's great. And But I wonder if that, I don't know, like I'm just spitballing ideas, right? But like there's not an MMO or even really a big multiplayer situation that's like that kind of game. But it has those kinds of people there, right? That they want to be making food recipes. Or I really got into this another indie game. I don't remember. I think it was called While the Iron's Hot, where you're a blacksmith. And it's like the same deal. You're like getting resources and you're making orders. That's it, right? Like,
Yeah.
I really love games like that. But now that I'm a PC gamer, I'm able to play a lot more of them, right, guys?
I think when it comes down to like role playing as like a vendor or something, or like like doing that a lot of people like don't realize how much like actual work it takes to like actually do that stuff, and so like the aesthetics of it appeal. But then when it comes down to actually doing it, it's like, oh, this isn't as fun as I thought it would be. So I think like generally like I'd be curious if a game did come out today that kind of tried to balance everything evenly, like how many people would actually do things other than combat.
Well, it's funny because in this game, Traveler's Rest, you can hire employees to do all of that stuff for you.
That sounds
So
great. That sounds fantastic.
Well,
but also, I mean, like that's like you hiring like fighters, right? In Elite, like, and just letting them like do everything. Well, you just mine or whatever.
I don't know why that reminds me of doing Farm Simulator, and you can just hire everybody just do all of everything. Just
right, exactly.
Plant the field, harvest. You just sit there, just bring in the cash and just collect the the rewards and reap the benefits, and just watch the AI work for you.
Hey, when it comes down to it, when you're an entrepreneur, when you own your own business, capitalism is great. It sucks to be on the other end of it, but I mean, like,
if only I could get paid real good, but this farmer, man, I tell you what, won't pay me.
And meanwhile, the stable hand's going, man, I should get the same amount as the owner of this farm. I don't understand why I don't.
But it's with the hiring, it's so that you can like do more mining and cutting down trees and stuff like that. But for me, that's the part of the game I don't like. So like in Cult of Lamb, right? It's like a roguelike / cult simulator, or Cult of the Lamb, I guess is the technical title. Yeah. I like that game too, but like the going out and fighting is my least favorite part of the game. My favorite part of the game is very much running the cult and like, preaching and, burying dead bodies and doing their services. And,
doing the shady stuff.
Feeding them and stuff. Yeah, but like going out and actually fighting, not unlike real life, exactly. But going out and like fighting the others, I don't love that part. I know that's the part that's supposed to break up the monotony of the game, but for me, it breaks up the fun of the game. It's like, all right, I've been having a good time. I guess I should eat my vegetables, so to speak. Go do this.
Johnny just likes making those underhanded deals, He's just like,
oh yeah, totally. Totally. When I played Star Wars Galaxies, there was a whole season where I didn't do combat at all, and all I did was play music in a cantina where people would come in to like heal damage to their mind. Like when you die, you take mind damage, and they come in, and if they watch dancers or listen to musicians, they can get buffs. And that's all I did. I would sign on and play for hours, and I would just hang out and play music in the cantina in like Theed on Naboo. And people would come in, I'd heal them, be asking them questions and stuff, and they'd pay me. It was great. I realize I'm just describing a job, but it was great. I really enjoyed it.
But it's in the Star Wars universe, and I think that goes towards something, it's new, novel, really cool.
What we're learning tonight is Johnny would be a great bartender.
I wouldn't mind being a bartender, I think, if I did, other than dealing with people and stuff.
I think the dealing with people would get to you pretty quick, yeah.
Other than the bartending part, I think I would like it.
Yeah. And then having to clean up after people too. Like the whole people making messes and dealing with that. Yeah. While we're on the subject of galaxies, though, to keep it Star Wars themed, because this is episode 9, I did see The Phantom Menace this week. I did not see The Rise of Skywalker.
Oh, yeah. And how was it?
But I did see the Phantom Menace. It was really bizarre. It was like time traveling because I went to see Phantom Menace and then I got a Slurpee after, and I hadn't gotten a Slurpee in a really long time, and I haven't seen Phantom Menace in theaters since like 2001 or whenever that movie came out. So I mean,
it was still in theaters.
I thought the movie came out in 1999.
Came out in 1999.
It might have been 99.
It was still in theaters.
Yeah.
Did we give?
It was still in theaters. Yeah.
So we were wrong.
We were slightly wrong. We were slightly inaccurate in telling people that it was out of theaters. Yeah.
Yeah. Bad information, guys.
Look, I mean, nobody listens to this for the accuracy. They listen for the quality, which, aren't necessarily always completely, intertwined.
They listen for the quality and the financial advice. That's what they listen for.
We do not give, for the purposes of legal purposes, we do not give financial advice, just for the record.
We just give suggestions, okay? But, we do one of those every once a quarter, so come back if you want suggestions.
But
of what we personally would do and not what we would advise someone to do. So the one thing I didn't like was that it seems like it's the same cut that they showed in theaters originally. Like it wasn't like up-resed or anything. And I feel like they could have, but otherwise it was a great movie. I enjoyed it. Did not leave once during the theater, despite, like normally having attention issues and like needing to step out or whatever. It was great. I have a couple questions though.
Oh, questions?
Yeah, so spoilers for Phantom Menace if you haven't seen it.
Oh, jeez. Come on.
In 1999. So when Qui-Gon is entering Anakin in the race, in Tatooine, the pod racer race, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he offers a lot of things, right? Some in exchange, some as gambles or whatever and all that. Like he offers like the pod racer in exchange for as collateral against the hyperdrive that they need, right?
Yes. The pod
as part of the bet. Yeah. And then he also offers the entire ship, I think, as a gamble for the boy.
The ship and yes, and the ship as well. Yeah.
Yeah. He also offers the ship as the entrance fee.
Okay.
Which doesn't make sense to me. And I was like, wait a second. Like, how could the ship be the entrance fee and then be gambled later as potentially like upon this race's outcome? Like, as an entrance fee means that.
Well, usually an entrance fee.
And also, why would he be offering? But why would he also be offering the ship as an entrance fee to Watto? That also doesn't necessarily make sense.
You know what? I can explain this. No. I can make this make sense. He used the Force.
Mind tricks don't work on Watto.
Watto just forgot. It had nothing to do with the Force or anything. He just forgot.
He's like, oh, the ship, right? Yeah. He told him later, but he told him that as an option of if I think as part of the gambling for the hyperdrive or whatever, he's like, oh, well, in that case, you should cover the entrance fee. And I don't even know that they settle on that. I think that might just be a one-off line or whatever. But also, for him to offer the ship as an entrance fee even at all is really bizarre.
I feel like I remember that of him being like, oh, well, then, if we're going to change the wager and you're going to give me the boy, then you need to cover the entrance fee, not me.
Right. Yeah, something like that.
I think was the deal.
Yeah, I think I'm pretty sure that's what he said. It's like,
but I saw this great meme of Mace Windu, and it's you send Qui-Gon on a routine negotiations mission, and he comes back with a slave boy he won gambling on pod racing. And Mace is just like, what? It's like, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like literally, Kenobi's like really confused about the turn of events too during that, and
It's like, you've done
like
what,
everyone,
Master?
like, yeah. Also, when they
that's one thing I like
yeah.
about Qui-Gon, real quick. He's just a Jedi that, lives in the moment. He really does with the living force. I love that, he's all about that, just like taking chances, being a little risky, being a little bit outside of like even the order in a way. He's just,
Sure.
Totally.
he gets it done. He gets it
Right?
done.
Obi-Wan says that you would be on the council if you just listened to him. And Qui-Gon is just about the vibes,
Well, he's and intentionally, he's like the epitome of wisdom or whatever in a Jedi Order, in a Jedi Order that largely has decided to like hold to its rules above all else, which I get from a structural standpoint, but also also completely lacks discernment to have allowed like a Sith threat to like spring up right under their noses and everything, and have no idea that it was there until it was like explicitly revealed. Yeah, I mean, like Qui-Gon's just great.
And
he's a fantastic character.
Qui-Gon is also the only person in the Star Wars universe to die from a lightsaber stab wound.
Because everybody else comes back.
Yeah, everyone else is fine.
Although technically one could make the argument, and I have this on one of my notes too. This isn't my second question. I do have another question, but apparently Maul's kicks are just indefensible. Like you can't defend against them. Like anytime that Maul isn't using his lightsaber, like there's just no defense. So really, he should just not use his lightsaber at all, because every single one of his kicks hits every single time.
It's like, no,
and then
dodge,
like when he finally kills Qui-Gon, the main way that he does it is he like bumps him up or whatever with the lightsaber, with the handle instead of the actual blade, and like then stabs him. And it's like, okay, well, I guess Jedi just have no idea how to defend against physical attacks. They just don't know.
They don't know.
You didn't know that was my weakness.
But that actually
violence.
makes sense because prior to Episode 1, the Sith are gone, so they are not even really learning sword fighting so much, right? They're mostly learning like how to deflect like blaster bolts. But also, you both have swords. Why you kick me, bro? Right? Why you? Sorry, why you kick me, bro?
I mean, that's a fair point. Yeah, and honestly, if someone started doing flips in front of me, I'd be like, "Yeah, I don't know how to deal with this either."
So Pyro is bringing up everyone else has gotten hospitalized immediately, but like Qui-Gon, he didn't die right away, right? And no one was there to help him, and that's how he died. I saw another meme right after The Rise of Skywalker came out, where it's like Obi-Wan holding dying Qui-Gon, and Qui-Gon's like, "Quick, Obi-Wan, do force healing." And Obi-Wan's like, "Master," he's like, "Master, we have to wait 8 more episodes before that power unlocks."
Okay,
we haven't gotten enough upgrade points for that yet.
Yeah, you say that, Pyro, but what about Darth Maul in the same?
We just got force run, okay? Like
also
Darth
that
Maul gets cut in half and falls down. Like how do you explain that? That had to take a while.
It turns out at the bottom of that pit, hospital. Who knew?
Hospital. Okay, who knew? Darth Sidious is just down there. Like, oh, I knew this would happen.
Actually,
he felt the tremors in the force. And I was just ready. He was just ready. He knew
he fell into a vault.
Cut in half.
He fell into a vault, and they just took care of him.
And then they gave him food and stuff for his journey.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it was just like the torso. So I mean, that is a little bit different than the heart region. The lung and heart area. So I mean, there is that.
Yeah. Who needs legs?
Yeah.
Also, I have a couple more things on my notes because I took notes during this movie. Okay. The other 4 people in the theater probably weren't glaring at me, but if they had seen my phone out, they might have been. So
no, you're fine. It's an old movie.
So Anakin gives Padme a medallion to remember him by. And she goes, I don't need this to remember you. I'll always remember you or whatever. Where's that medallion? Like, it's just gone. It's just lost of time. Did she throw it away immediately? I mean,
no. She holds it when they bury her. She's holding it in episode 3.
Oh, really?
When they bury her, she's got it in her hand. But other than that, yes,
it's gone. It's just gone. It's just, hey, somebody's like, what would be really cool in episode 3 if she's all of a sudden just holding this?
Well, I mean, what he should have done is he should have given her a pair of fuzzy dice, because then they would be everywhere, right?
But let's be real for a minute. We all have gotten a garbage gift from some kid.
True.
Right?
True.
And you're just like, thanks. And you like immediately put it in the trash. You don't know that you're going to marry this child in a few years.
Like so many people, we're going to do a Madam Web watch party in Discord soon. I'm announcing that now.
Wow.
It's such a terrible movie. It'll be great. It'll be a lot of fun. But I don't know when yet, but we'll figure it out. But in Madam Web, the most relatable part of that movie was a kid gives the protagonist a drawing, and then she kind of just doesn't want to deal with the family or whatever, because she's focused on her job or whatever, and then but then she has no clue what to do with it. And so she crumbles it up and throws it away, I think. And I was like, this is the most relatable part of this movie, because honestly, if a kid handed me a drawing, I wouldn't know what to do with it either. I'd be like, some random kid just gave me this drawing. Cool. Like, what? Do I put this in a drawer with all my birthday cards from the last 10 years and just let it sit there?
I throw that stuff away.
Exactly.
It's like, listen, I'm just gonna throw it away in a few years. If I don't throw it away now, in a few years, I'm gonna be going through this pile of papers. The amount of times I've done that in my own house of like, what are these papers? And it's like, well, I guess they're not important because they've all been sitting here for 4 years and we've never looked at it. Just put it in the trash.
This is what I do with my papers. I have them taped. Some of them, not all of them. You can't do them all, but my kids come in and sometimes we'll say, okay, we'll actually hang that one up. Give me some tape.
Okay, but Farmer, imagine this. Imagine you're 14 years old, and a 9-year-old gives you a piece of wood
that he carved himself.
That he carved, whatever that means, that he whittled, and he's like. Here,
I don't know. He was pretty crafty.
And then,
if it was like that, I probably would have kept it.
But also, imagine that you were the king of a planet. And received many much better gifts. And then you're like, oh yeah, I'll totally remember you forever. What's your name again? And then,
Annie,
sure, maybe,
right? No, he's never gone by what?
Maybe this child is instrumental in the freeing of your planet, so you can't forget about him, because this child is in history books now, and then you end up marrying this child.
You're like, oh, pick it up out of the trash afterwards. You're like, oh, you know what? I should probably keep
after
this
he's
now.
No longer a child. Just to clarify,
after no longer a child, you marry this. There's no way that I would have it. Unless, right? There's just no way. And I want to clarify here. Pyro says we just hate children.
Happened.
I don't hate children. I hate trash.
Okay,
that's what I hate.
He took effort and time to carve it,
Yeah, I don't hate children. I just hate trash. Just don't give me trash. Man, just don't give it to me. I'm just going to throw it away. I love when people give me something and I just put it in the trash right in front of them. I'm like, thank you.
Stop while you're working on Chiho and draw a picture of a crumpled piece of paper.
Look at this. Chiho drew this. Yes, hey guys, guess what? We can't go a week without doing a visual bit. Chiho drew this. I'm keeping it. It is gonna go in the trash at some point.
Right, you've already lost your eyes.
I love the eyes being cut out. That's my favorite part of that.
That's actually why I kept it.
Yeah,
so for those who can't see, I'm going to go ahead and describe this. Chiho did a sketch, actually a very nice sketch of me in which then she took a knife and she stabbed my eyes out and pierced my ears and all over my face. She's just cut out parts of it.
Wow.
At least she didn't draw X's over your eyes, you know?
Yeah, she didn't draw X's over them. She just cut them out. This is like worse than a voodoo doll. It looks... Yeah, so
it's so you can see through it. You have a mask of your own face.
I'm keeping it.
If you ever forget who you are, you can then be you.
Yeah.
And wait, are you going to use that as your like VTube now?
No, I kept it so that I could put it down when I was doing top-down angles on my stream.
It's funny.
But I'm not doing top-down angles anymore, so...
It'd be funny if you just had like it taped to your chair or something like that, and that's all we could see is just that drawing, or like attached to like some kind of mannequin there, and it's just that drawing. It'd be great.
So, Dee, do you have any closing comments? Because this episode is getting real long.
Okay, I do have a couple more. Okay.
Oh, go ahead.
So this one is I have one more big one and a bunch of minor ones that I can run through real quick. Actually, let's see the minor ones first. Episode 1 Racer is actually maybe the best possible game that's ever been like made that like holds true to like its aesthetic of what it should be. I think that's unquestionable. Like Episode 1 Racer is like pod racing. Like boom, there you go. You know, it nails it in a way that like, yeah.
I wanted to bring up pod racing iconic. Like the pod race is such a weird part of the movie that you like forget everything else going on because it's so visceral. Like they did such a good job with the pod race. Oh, so good.
To create something like brand new like that. And then also then for a game to actually nail it, right? The aesthetics of it and everything. And actually be like more accurate to a certain degree too. Like, I mean, that's wild to me. That like both the game and the event itself
pod racing
are like perfect. Yeah. And a show would be fantastic too. Yes. Oh my gosh, yes. That would be great.
Let's do it.
I would love someone jumping from pod racer to pod racer, but accidentally hitting the energy binder and like, you know, electrocuted and dying.
that is actually something that, you know, like again, like they invented for episode 1, but they never go really back to it. Just a little bit, maybe in 2, but
like reference.
I would love to see more.
That's pretty much it.
I would love to see more of that.
A group of pod racers defeating a Star Destroyer with the power of family.
I would love just it to be about the whole the world of pod racing. You know,
honestly, yes, yeah.
It's working. Yeah.
I mean, there's so much potential there. They could have done like a mock like racer show, you know, like
next Disney Plus series, Sebulba. Come
Ooh.
On.
I mean, I don't mind that, especially if Watto makes an appearance too. I mean, like that would be really cool.
Phantom Menace, right? When he's like on the top of his race game. Oh, that would be so good.
And like, man, like Tatooine just before like Anakin even gets there, right, or whatever. That would be cool.
Let's get another series based on Tatooine.
Yeah,
you know,
we're back.
Yes,
we're 100%,
baby. Yes, I'd be down.
Yeah,
you could have the Mandalorian make an appearance or something, or Fett or somebody. You know, just to juice up those numbers. It's kind of a little bit like weird that like they had do mind tricks on Boss Nass to get the bongo, but then they never do mind tricks on Boss Nass again, even though it would have been potentially like beneficial to them. But also I would imagine that like Jedi have certain ethics about like the limits to which they should use their mind tricks, I guess. I mean, especially on non-hostile species. I don't know. That's kind of weird.
Has really arbitrary rules for everything. He's like mind tricks, mind tricks, gambling. I'm not saying free slaves, but then he's like, "Listen, I can only protect you. I can't fight a war."
Like, I mean, like, yeah. There's that too. Well, but yeah, like that whole area, like that last act of the movie or whatever. Like, I mean, between like the whole like, I can't fight a war for you, like to the queen and everything. But I can also like go with you to defend you and kill like tons of battle droids or whatever and all that.
And then also
and
immediately
fight, like,
stop defending you and just
yeah,
fight the sick
yeah, and
guy
then immediately,
instead.
yeah. Or like also not like mind tricking Boss Nass to like helping them with the army portion. And my guess would be just because of the consequences of that like potential decision, and taking
Right.
away a
Well,
species
in
free
the
will. I
moment-
would imagine that would be bad. But
Yeah.
I
Well,
don't
in
know.
the moment, if he did use that, they still wouldn't be in allegiance, right? It had to be something that she worked for to actually come together because
I mean,
sure,
we know
he
this.
tricked
We
her
know
at
this
one point,
plot
but-
wise, sure.
Yeah.
But also, like, I mean, in terms of like having the power to persuade somebody who you have already tricked once, and like, I mean, not using that, I don't know necessarily like that would be an interesting
but how
ethical
far
discussion,
does,
I guess.
Jedi
But, like,
mind trick go to? It's like you could
Right.
trick the person in the moment to get what you need at that moment.
No.
does it go
Obi-Wan convinced
further
that
than
guy
that?
to go home and rethink his life. I would like to think
Yeah.
that he totally changed his life.
Continuous plant in the brain at that point. It just just keeps on going. It just
Christopher
keeps on
Nolan
going.
saw Star Wars and was like, Inception. They got it. They did it.
There you go.
Yeah. Speaking of Tatooine, a what if Star Wars would be great because there's a bunch of decisions made on Tatooine that it would be great to see alternate outcomes of. But also, just in general, a Star Wars what if show would be fantastic. I would love that. That would be so good. And then Anakin's smirk at the end is like Hayden Christensen is like perfectly cast, and I would like to imagine that he just did that smirk, and they were like, "Yep, that matches," and then they just went with him because like those were just both really comparable,
You did not bring up something that I normally do think about when I think about Star Wars Episode 1. The actresses, Natalie Portman and Keira Knightley, don't look that much alike. They
That's
do
true.
look alike.
That's true. They look
not
kind of alike, but not
that much
yeah.
alike. Like they have them stand next to each other.
Yeah.
And you
like
can
multiple times.
clearly
Yeah.
see that that's not them. And it's just like, does this fool anyone?
Right.
Anyway, that's just my.
That's kind of bizarre. Yeah.
It would be what? Yeah, it would be one thing like if Amidala was kept secret all the time, but like she clearly looks like a totally different person when it's Padme in the Amidala outfit than when it's.
But
Keira
we're seeing
Knightley
it from
in
the
the Amidala
first
outfit.
point, from that point of view, from like the story. Like if you were
From a
outside,
certain point of view.
Yeah, if you were outside and part of
So to
like
speak.
the general public, so to speak. I had to get my catchphrase in there. Thank you. Appreciate that.
in terms of that.
But the queens are elected, so surely Padme did a campaign and people voted for her.
Right. Yeah. Like theoretically, people would know what she looked like. I feel like, you know what? If
That's
someone
where the
who
paint comes into
kind
play,
of sort of looked like
The face
Putin
paint.
was on the street, I feel like I would know the
You would
difference.
totally
Maybe not,
know, right?
But I mean, like,
Like- Like, no. It's not even if he was on the street, but it's like if someone who like looked like 80% of Joe Biden got on TV, I would know it's not Joe Biden. Like, I would be like, something seems off about this guy, right? Like, anyway, it's just it's a little weird, but continue.
Yeah.
The CG wasn't there yet. If they made that movie today, for real, right? They would just face
That's
double.
true. Yeah.
I mean, look at like Captain America and Endgame, right? When he fights himself, like that kind of stuff.
I mean, we need more movie
would be
remakes. Is
perfect.
what we need. We have all
Yeah.
these game remakes, but
Okay.
we don't have enough movie
People
remakes.
want to hate. If they wanted,
Wow.
if Disney wanted to remake Star Wars, I would be fine with it. It can't be worse than what they've done. I would be totally fine with it. Ideally, though, I would want them to do the remakes in chronological order, though, not in release order.
Yes, I agree. They would need to start with episode 1 and create a story that's like all the way through 9, because then they could clear up a lot of like plot issues or whatever and all that too.
Well, the
A lot of
question is with your
incongruities.
remakes, are you talking about changing story arcs or are you talking about the same story arc, just a remake?
Like Final Fantasy VII remake, like basically like
basically changing
yeah.
it. Yeah.
yeah, like changing it, but like still kind of staying like along the same like broad like outline or whatever,
Mhm.
modernizing it.
Did you guys see the new Little Mermaid?
I have
No,
not.
I have
no.
not.
They fixed it. So everyone in here hasn't seen it. Basically, some of the changes, a small yet huge change, when the Sea Witch gives her the potion, kind of a spoiler, to give her legs, part of the potion is she doesn't remember what she has to do for it to be permanent.
Ooh.
Like she like throws it in there. And and like Sebastian and Flounder know, but when they try to tell her, she can't remember it. And so it makes so much more sense of why she's not trying so hard. And also in the original Little Mermaid, Eric actually kills Ursula and she's like kind of weirdly helpless. It's flipped, which makes way more sense because she's the mermaid and he's a human, that he would be helpless in the ocean, and she's the one who actually saves him. Like they made,
even as a kid, that was weird to me.
A couple of small changes that the overall story was the same, but like a lot of the criticisms of the original movie were like kind of fixed. So it wasn't as big of a change as like I don't know that they really made big. It's like Cinderella. When they redid Cinderella, they had lots of changes in that one. But it wasn't like shot for shot the same like Lion King was. Right.
Sure.
Or I could say not as different as like Mulan. Mulan was also very different. But it wasn't shot for shot like I would say Beauty and the Beast and Lion King were very similar to the originals.
Right.
Yeah, but I would say Lion King is similar to its detriment because they also went with like a realistic like take on Lion King, you know? So they didn't get kind of crazy with like some of the elements that make Lion King as fun as it is, the original, you know?
Right.
I mean, yeah. But okay, so my last major thing, and that's it, is that the Queen goes to, the whole idea is to get the Queen to speak to the Senate, right? So they go to the Senate after this long, like, arbitrary, like, derailment, this side quest, right? They get to the Senate. The Queen says her speech, and then she initiates a vote of no confidence in Chancellor Valorum.
Right.
What on earth gives her the authority, or what in the galaxy, I guess, gives her the authority to do that? That seems really weird to me. That a head of state just like enters like the Senate chambers and like goes, yeah, I don't like the head of the Senate, so get a new one.
I would thought so. Like, if the Senate is like the UN, right, and so like heads of state are separate from it, right? Because there's a specific person sent to the Senate, which would be like, I don't know, like the UN ambassador. My understanding of it, not that this was spelled out at all, was that her saying that but like she's also speaking for their ambassador at the time.
I feel like it's weird that she initiates that vote to begin with, and then it's also kind of weird. I mean, it kind of makes sense because I'm guessing that he didn't nominate himself, but it's kind of weird that her senator ends up like, you know, the new chancellor.
Yeah,
you know,
well, I think that's
like
the kind of
that whole situation
that he
is
was
kind of
doing,
weird.
though.
Yeah.
See, if he would have done it, then it would have looked. Oh, let's look more into him. But if we
that's so true.
If the Queen does it, then people aren't going to look so much into me as much as it is also, the situation, what's going on with her, and all.
But also, what would have been even smarter is to have another senator do it, like another senator, like initiate. And granted, that's a little convoluted for the purposes of a movie. But in terms of the way that organization works, it seems really weird to me that a head of state can just enter and go, yeah, no, I nominate, like, you know, that we get rid of the head of this organization because I disagree with the way that they're handling this. You know, when heads of state are purposefully removed from that process, that just seems weird.
Well, I think also the flip side is like, because of what was going on and the blockade, she was the only one that could catapult everyone into like supporting that cause at all. Because, you know, usually you can't, like you said, just can't go up and it's like there's a vote of no confidence. But because they were blockaded and they had all this, you know, all this stuff to back her cause, there was sympathy that would back her up.
Sure, I agree. Well, it's just weird that she initiates those proceedings.
Illegally also illegally invaded
at that point. Yeah,
illegally
yeah.
invaded,
Well,
and then what was it?
according
Valorum
to
wanted
her,
them
technically,
to investigate it.
right? Yeah,
According to her, but
wanted
she
to
did have
form a committee.
Jedi. She did have Jedi with her.
Collaborate
Not at
her
the
story.
Senate.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
It's we have
But on the
comment
flip
here
side, it
saying
is
to
really
leave the
interesting.
politics to episode 2.
It is really interesting that the Chancellor is the one who sends the Jedi, right? Like, I feel like he was a instrumental part of actually sending out the Jedi to investigate it. And now, on the flip side, because of what they did, what they found out, now he's ousted. You know, it's really, really shady at the same time. You know, it's like, oh, I was the one who kind of initiated this whole thing, and my hands were tied. I don't know if you guys read the book about like the kind of what was the name of it? I can't remember it, but it was like kind of the prequel to all this that was going on. But he was instrumental in like pushing for that, and like actually talking to, I believe, if I remember correctly, talking to like the council and then getting Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan to go. And the fact that Palpatine uses it against him, it's really fascinating.
But you bringing up that it's sneaky and kind of shadowy, would you say that maybe it's run by a Sith? The whole thing was puppeted by,
maybe orchestrated,
orchestrated by the dark side of the Force. Which we've gone this whole conversation without talking about how apparently, according to canon, Anakin's father is Darth Plagueis and Darth Sidious because they used the Force to impregnate his mom.
Yeah, that's a weird one for sure.
And on that note, I think we're at about time. So we will see you guys next week. Make sure to like and subscribe and smash that bell icon and leave us good ratings and all the stuff. Bye. I think this is the longest